Good morning. This is going to be the second part of our lecture series or presentation series about emotional intelligence. This is the part that I told you I missed recording. So I'm doing this to complement the presentations. And I will start by sharing video, and then we'll go ahead and run through the presentation. Okay. All right. So the second part would be about emotional intelligence. And if you remember from the first presentation, we talked about some of the things that are important when it comes to combating burnout and how EI plays a big role. And then going through this section, it'll probably dive into more of the role of EI along multiple axes. So I'll start off with my saying, some quotes. Wherever the art of medicine is love, there's also a love of humanity. And the doctor must do everything in his power to save lives, preserve health, or at least alleviate the suffering. So you see that, again, the basis of our profession lies in our own humanity and empathy and emotions. Medicine is a science of experience. Its object is to eradicate diseases by means of remedies. The knowledge of disease, the knowledge of remedies, and the knowledge of their employment constitute medicine. That is the science of the physician. What about the art of the physician? If it were not for the great variability among individuals, medicine might as well be a science, not an art. As big a component as science is in medicine, you will see that the larger, much larger component is the art of its practice. Paracelsus, if you remember, he was one of the mavericks and one of the forefathers of medicine, or the fathers of medicine. And when everybody was teaching medicine in one way, he took it to a different level. He states illustrious doctors might have graduated from books, but books made not a single physician. And you probably all know how people can be very, very book smart, but when they lack people skills, or street smart is what we call them. So they can be very apt in the science part, but when it comes to the art of communicating or the art of connecting, they're not so good. Now, when we produce, if you will, the classic physician, we have 6 ACGME competencies. Those 6 ACGME competencies, they are versed into what we call the hard skills and the soft skills. The hard skills require your IQ, and that's the scientific part. The soft skills, that's the art part. They require your EQ, or emotional intelligence. Now, EQ is different than IQ. IQ, you're born with it, that's it. You're stuck with it. You may lose some points, but you don't gain them. That's the formula for your brain. The EQ is something that you are born with, you develop, and you can continue developing. In medicine, as well as other businesses and any interactions with people, 20 to 30% of success comes from the science, and 70 to 80% comes from the art. 1 second. All right, sorry about that interruption. So let me share with you the video and make sure that the sound is working. Okay, here we go.
So, as it turns out, the green trash can is not recycling. It's for greens, like compost and eggshells. And the blue one is recycling. And the black one.
Riley is acting so weird. Why is she acting so weird?
What do you expect? All the islands are down.
Joy would know what to do.
That's it. Until she gets back, we just do what Joy would do.
Great idea. Anger, fear, disgust. How are we supposed to be happy?
Hey, Hey, Riley, I've got good news. I found a junior hockey league right here in San Francisco, and get this, tryouts are tomorrow after school. What luck, right?
Hockey.
Uh-oh, what do we do?
Guys, here, you pretend to be Joy.
Won't it be great to be back out on the ice?
Oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic.
What was that? That wasn't anything like Joy.
Because I'm not Joy?
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you guys pick up on that?
Sure did.
Something's wrong.
Should we ask her?
Let's probe, but keep it subtle so she doesn't notice.
So, how was the first day of school?
She's probing us.
I'm done. You pretend to be Joy.
What? Okay,
It was fine, I guess. I don't know. Oh, very smooth. That was just like Joy.
Something is definitely going on.
She's never acted like this before. What should we do? We're gonna find out what's happening, but we'll need support. Signal the husband.
Ahem.
Uh-oh, she's looking at us. What did she say?
What? Oh, sorry, sir. No one was listening.
Is it garbage night? We left the toilet seat up. What? What is it, woman? What?
He's making that stupid face again.
I could strangle him right now.
Signal him again.
So, Riley, how was school?
You gotta be kidding me.
For this, we gave up that Brazilian helicopter pilot?
Move! I'll be Joy.
School was great, all right?
Riley, is everything okay?
Sir, she just rolled her eyes at us.
What is her deal? All right, make a show of force. I don't want to have to put the foot down.
No, not the foot.
Riley, I do not like this new attitude.
Oh, I'll show you attitude, okay? No. Stay happy!
What is your problem? Just leave me alone.
Sir, reporting high levels of sass.
Take it to DEFCON 2.
You heard that, gentlemen? DEFCON 2.
Listen, young lady, I don't know where this disrespectful attitude came from.
You want a piece of this, Pops? Come and get it!
Yeah, well,
Here it comes. Prepare the foot.
Keys to safety position. Ready to launch on your command, sir.
just shut up!
Fire!
That's it. Go to your room. Now.
The foot is down. The foot is down.
Good job, gentlemen. That could have been a disaster.
Well, that was a disaster.
Come, fly with me, Gachinya.
So when you're watching this video, it's all about, hopefully it jumps out that about being able to see others, perceive them, understand what they need, and at the same time know what's going on inside of you. And to do that, it requires a certain intelligence, and intelligence is a skill, and this is where we define emotional intelligence. Intelligence is an ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. If we expand, it is the ability to acquire and apply emotional knowledge and skills. If we further expand, ability to acquire and apply self-emotional knowledge and skills. One more and last expansion, it is the ability to acquire and apply self and others' emotional knowledge and skills. In short terms, it is understanding ourselves, managing ourselves, understanding others, and managing others. Now, if you end up going to the hospital and your leg looks like this, and again, to add a little bit of drama, your bones are actually sticking out, you would not be able to work, and your body is telling you not to do so, and the body's way of telling you is through pain. Now, and at the same time, if people around you see you like this and see you that you are in so much pain and suffering, they will try to alleviate it as much as possible and try to take some of that pain off, try to relax you, take care of you. The same thing, so not just as we are tuned to listening to our physical demands, when they are this excruciating, we are also very attuned to know, for those of us who exercise, that we know our physical limits. We know how much we can run, we know how much we can do reps as far as weights and so on and so forth. But how many of us go to the hospital burnt out or go to work burnt out? And that'll be probably all of us. And I would tell you that the pain from burnout is equal to that pain from the physical structures of the bony breaks. It's just we learn to numb it and not even recognize it, even as our brain is shouting with the same amount of pain, because pain is perceived emotionally and physically in the same area in the brain. The other thing is, we don't know what our limits are as far as what we can take from an emotional standpoint, from an exhaustion standpoint, mentally and emotionally. So we keep pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves. And despite all signs of the body saying, look, I can't take this anymore. It's like somebody running the treadmill. They've reached their limits. It's 40 minutes. They're going to collapse if they continue. And they know that they're going to collapse if they continue. So they stop. But we don't have that ability not to recognize our limits or even train to go beyond them or control them. And this is where the discrepancy between EQ and IQ lies. So this is about understanding and managing yourself. And emotional intelligence is about understanding and managing others. So it answers the question, is you mindful or are you mindful? Now, there are several tests to measure your emotional intelligence. One of them is called the MHS 2.0. Again, there are several of them. I use this because I'm used to it. It measures 5 realms. It starts with self-perception, and in those there are 3 parts, and then self-expression, interpersonal skills, decision-making skills, and stress management. And these are all skills. And at the end, you'll get a report. So let's start off with and outside of all of this, you'll see that there's the well-being and performance and emotional social functioning. So these are kind of the outer shell, and whatever happens inside reflects on that outer shell. So the self-perception area or realm answers 3 questions, and it has self-awareness, self-regard, self-actualization. It answers the question, how aware am I of how my emotions affect myself and others? How confident am I? And am I constantly trying to improve? The second, which is the self-expression realm, talks about emotional expression, independence, and assertiveness. It answers the questions, can I speak appropriately about the uncomfortable experiences and emotions that arise during the workday? Can I make decisions autonomously? And can I defend my points of view in a non-offensive manner? The third realm, interpersonal, talks about interpersonal relationships, empathy, and social responsibility. The cluster answers the question, do patients and coworkers trust and want to work with me? Do they feel that I really get them and their concerns, and am I a helpful member of the community? The last one, which is the decision-making realm, it's about reality testing, problem solving, and impulse control. It answers the questions, can I stay objective and see the situation as it is? Can I find good solutions when my emotions are hijacked? And am I able to manage my impulses and reactions on what I say and do? And if you look at deeper into these questions, sorry, this would be the last this would be the last round. But if you look deeper into those rounds, into those questions, these are very complex questions. And that's just a summary of them. This round answers, how adaptable am I? Flexibility. How much stress can I handle? Stress tolerance. And what is my attitude when there are difficult circumstances? Optimism. And after you're done measuring all of this, it's it'll take you about 20 to 30 minutes. It's about 120 questions or something of the sort. You get a chart that looks like this, or a graph that looks like this. People with high EQ usually want them above 100, 105. And when you do that, this is kind of one of the closest portrayal of who you are in an objective manner, so to speak. So you can look at these things and see, for example, in front of you, the independence score is 98. Good. It can be better. They score great on emotional expression. And the great thing about EQ is once you get that, you're able to work on every aspect and improve, move the scale up, which is extremely important. Why do we want to work on our emotional quotient? No matter how you dissect the brain about thinking, about basic functioning, and so on and so forth, our brain, we are emotional human beings. We are emotional creatures. We might be the master of our own thoughts, still we are the slaves of our own emotions. And so it makes sense that we need to be able to understand that which controls us the most, emotions, and have the ability to be able to make use of them, enhance them. So if you look at the literature, EQ was found to be the basis of the following abilities: developing trust, being assertive, manage your anger, stress tolerance, being empathetic, manage your time, decision making, change tolerance, communication, social skills, customer service, flexibility, accountability, which pretty much defines the art of medicine. So if 20 to 30% of the science is our IQ and 70 to 80% is our EQ, and this is involved, now you would start to think, well, wait a second. You know, we go through training and we're told to bottle our emotions and forget about them and so on and so forth. This is 70 to 80% of who we are as physicians, but who we are also as human beings. So what does the science say as far as, what does the literature say as far as emotional intelligence? And again, if you don't see yourself, you can't understand your impact on others. So if you are not able to understand where you are as a physician, just using that example, during the day, if you're having a rough day and you can't see that, then how do you understand your impact on others? Sometimes people will say, you know what, that physician was rude. And in your mind, you had no idea that you were rude. You may have been aloof because you're concerned about something else. So here's what the science says. EQ, or emotional intelligence, is directly tied to decreasing, diagnosing, and preventing burnout. It is needed for the skills of you, the 21st century physician. It is needed for personal and professional development. And again, it's needed, it's not wanted. It is needed in all the ACGME competencies. It's tied to physician satisfaction and mission. It's tied to physician wellness. Remember that outer circle? Tied to patient satisfaction and at the core of leadership. And in the end, when the life went out of him and my hands could work no more, I left from that place into the night and wept for myself, for life, for the tragedy of death's coming. Then I rose and, walking back to the suffering house, forgot again my own wounds for the sake of healing others. What makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful. It is, we need to acknowledge our own emotions. We need to acknowledge them, bring them out, understand that they're there, deal with them, heal, so we can continue and acknowledge that not only do we have them, that they're beautiful, they make us vulnerable, but that's fine. And we cannot move to the next level or whatever level we want to get to without being able to connect to them. Now, where do we start? The first place to start, if you're going to acknowledge your emotions, understand that importance is honesty. If you're not emotionally honest with yourself, then you're going to be lying to yourself. And whatever goes from that relationship forward is not going to be ideal. And honesty is the highest form of intimacy. How honest are you with yourself? Again, from Stephen Covey, self-awareness involves deep personal honesty. It comes from asking and answering hard questions. How well do you know yourself, and how well are you going to admit to yourself? The second thing is, once you decide you're going to be emotionally honest, have the integrity of your emotions, maintain them. What does that mean? It refers to the courage in acknowledging your own true feelings. If you are honest with yourself and you discover that, you know what, I am afraid, or I am a softie, or this really affects me, acknowledge it. Acknowledge your own true feelings and emotions, desires, needs, and wants. It's okay. Acknowledge this is who you are. You can't hide from who you are. You can try. It is to do so without minding or judging yourself through the societal lens. Once you really say, oh, wow, I am really like this. Our go-to is, okay, well, what would others think about me? It doesn't work. This is who we are, but this is where the integrity comes, like, this is who I am. I want to be honest to myself. I want to be fair to myself. It's being true to yourself that you are not worried about what others think. So we have to understand we have integrity. Now, how do we work on our EQ? The first thing we acknowledge our emotions, which is something we've talked about. The second, take an assessment test. Find out who you are. Pretty easy. Find out who you are. It helps you with your self-awareness, helps you with your self-discovery. Learn to observe yourself. You are physicians, which means you are taught to observe anomalies. You're taught to observe abnormalities, normal, abnormal, decide, discern. Your reasoning skills are such that you identify what's right and you can identify what's wrong. observe yourself with those same skills, but from an emotional level. Like, keep a watch on yourself. What am I feeling? Keep asking yourself, what am I feeling? Where am I? I'm discomforted. Why am I discomforted? I'm happy. Why am I happy? I'm angry. Why am I angry? And then when you do so, when you have identified where you are, we're not in void. You don't have a time in your where I feel nothing. If you are, I mean, that's pathology. But where you've identified where you are, go back and say, how did I get here? A few times a day, stop and observe your emotions, listen to your mind. Once you are able to identify your emotion, you have given it a construct that's cognitive. When that happens, you're able to control it, you're able to understand it, and you're able to thrive in it. You're able to either minimize it, maximize it, find out how you got there. Name your emotions when reacting. Name it to tame it. Again, giving it a cognitive name makes it easier for you to understand it. Some people say, like, I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know why I'm so emotional. And you would backtrace, you say, you know what, I've been bottling all these emotions since that thing happened, was that patient passed away. And so your emotions need to come out. Practice responding, not reacting. Again, you've heard about the 10-second rule. What is that really? The 10-second rule allows you get angry, somebody says something or does something, you don't want to react. You count till 10, you shift the blood from your amygdala, which hijacks you because it's a ball of emotions, and you shift the blood back to your prefrontal cortex, which will give not an emotional answer, but a reasonable response. Compare notes. Gather a few people you trust 100%. And do an assessment. It's called the 360. You say, in those 5 realms, this is how I see myself. Now, please tell me how you see me. How do you see me as far as trust? How do you see me as far as flexibility? And you'll get a better view of not just who you think you are, but how others see you. Then 10, self-focus to other focus. I will tell you that during the day, start practicing just listening. Focus on everybody else. See what that does. Know your positive and negative triggers. Everybody knows what ticks them off and what makes them feel better. Granted, at work, you are sometimes, you're faced with certain situations you don't have any control over, but try to maximize those situations where you do have them. And then build your emotional vocabulary. Not everything is anger, not everything is frustration. So that's the 10-second rule. And then seek professional help or coaching. If you find out that, you know what, I think I'm depressed, or I think I can't handle this on my own, seek help. Share your emotions with others, bring them out. It's amazing. When you start sharing and others sharing, it's so much easier. We all talk about, if you have a problem, you talk about it, it becomes less. Don't carry the burden of these emotions. If they're negative, by yourself, and if they're positive, share them. It's contagious. Practice 15 minutes of silent, uninterrupted introspection every day. This is difficult for many people. They don't have time. I've talked about time in wellness and self-care. But 15 minutes of introspection turns everything off, shut your whole world off, and just it's you and yourself. Turn your thoughts, your focus inwards, and just analyze, listen to yourself. Let your thoughts flow and just try to figure out what's going on inside of you. Emotions vary throughout the day. Divide your day into morning, afternoon, and night, or evening, and write down the emotions most felt during that time period. You're mapping yourself. So we all know how complex healthcare is right now, and it's only going to get more complicated. We do need emotional intelligence across all the ACGME competencies and to help us handle the 21st century. Without them, you see, we cannot practice medicine the way we practiced it 1,000 years ago. And with everything that's being thrown at us, if we're not able to manage it and manage ourselves in it, we're going to get burned out. So EQ is that lens that helps you do both, or that tool, I should say. The art of medicine has its roots in the heart. Make no mistake. Eleanor Roosevelt said, she states, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And since our primal sympathy is to help, that's the root of medicine. This is where the strength of the physician lies, be he a quack, a homeopath, or an allopath. He supplies the perennial demand for comfort, the craving of sympathy that every human sufferer feels. I will remember that there is an art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. Hippocrates. They knew it all the way back then. We know it now. And we just need to practice it within ourselves first and then others. Cure sometimes, treat often, comfort always. Thank you.